everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl, an early one for you. Found out about this trade by watching the LA Kings and Coyotes game this morning. Usually Friday night and Saturday night games, I watch it the next morning. Somehow didn't get a notification that this trade happened. I usually don't get notifications, but funny how I just found out through watching a game on demand. But no whiteboard, no stats for this trade because there's just going to be donuts across the board for every player involved, but just, no one really knows who Ilya Lyubushkin is. Obviously, Toronto fans won't unless you watch Coyotes games. But, I'll just tell you guys a little bit about Ilya, Russian guy, 28 years old, undrafted, signed out of the KHL by John Shaika a couple years ago. Since then, he's always been on one-year contracts, signing league minimum. Shutdown guy, will never, contribute offensively. And he was paired with Jakob Chychrun this season, and I saw a graphic yesterday afternoon that Jakob Chychrun and Ilya Lyubushkin were the sixth best shutdown defensive pairing according to MoneyPuck.com, which I found incredible that the Coyotes were even so high in a category, first of all. But to see Ilya Lyubushkin there as like one of the league's best shutdown D pairings along with Chychrun, not sure how much that has to do with Boosh, which is his nickname, or Jakob Chychrun. I think Chychrun is just concentrating on his defensive game this season because it's not really, fitting and going well offensively for Chychrun as opposed to last season when he had 20 goals and led the league for defensemen in goals. For Coyotes fans, we get a conditional third this year. The Coyotes could decide to use the pick this draft, next draft, 2023. If they decide to use it in 2023, it's a third-round pick. Or they wait till 2025 and it becomes a second-round pick. 2025, that's 3 seasons from now. Obviously, that's the season where they should be leaving the small ASU capacity arena if the new Tempe arena deal is confirmed and gets the green light. But that's such a far away draft that it's almost comical that they almost acquired a 14-year-old, a current 14-year-old. So if the Coyotes see someone they like next draft, with the Leafs pick, they'll use it. If not, they'll wait. Leafs fans don't want to hear this, but their window is now. I could make the assumption that in 2025, that draft pick, that second-round draft pick in 2025 by the Leafs would probably be a early second round. I'm not saying bottom 5 team in the league, but they won't be this elite cup contender in 2025. Now, Leafs fans will most likely disagree with that. But, their window is now. I don't think their window is open for 3 or 4 more years unless, they re-sign Matthews and things go right their way. But, they got to start winning now and playing together now as opposed to 3 seasons from now. So we'll see what Bill Armstrong decides to do. As for Nick Ritchie, people are saying that Coyotes might flip Ritchie closer to the deadline or at trade deadline day for another pick, but he's got a month to increase his trade deadline capital and resume. I don't think he puts it together in 1 month on the Coyotes. I like that they have a better third line winger as opposed to Louis Eriksson, because after our top 6, it's like 2 fifth lines in the NHL. Barrett Hayton has just come back and he lost his second line center spot to Alex Galchenyuk, who's actually producing well and executing and playing like a top 6 player the past 5 to 10 games or so. So Barrett Hayton needs some players to play with as opposed to Andrew Ladd and Louis Eriksson. So, Nick Ritchie will fill in that third line with Barrett Hayton and Andrew Ladd. He's a big guy, physical. I'm not looking to Ritchie for goals. He scored 15 goals last season with the Bruins, but miserable offensive numbers with the Leafs this season. The Leafs fans always, hate on Ritchie. He fumbled his career with the Leafs. Maybe he'll try to get it back with the Coyotes. That's kind of the road the Coyotes have been going towards. Just picking up players who their careers are derailing and they need to, turn it around quick. And what better way to do it than getting a lot of ice time on the Coyotes? We see Travis Boyd doing it, who's having a career year on the Coyotes, playing first-line center. I know Leafs fans know Travis Boyd. As for Dzingel, he's a quick guy. He's been battling with injuries a lot this season, but he can't put it together consistently. He has flashes of brilliance, but can't put it together. He's a third line winger. You do not want him on your top six. The most recent history with Coyote players the Leafs have is Michael Bunting. I'm sure the Leafs fans and Kyle Dubas are hoping for another Michael Bunting situation, but I don't think it happens. Lyubushkin will be just a shutdown third pairing defenseman on the PK most likely, but like Lyubushkin's not really like an incredible shutdown defenseman. He would be scratched a lot in the Tocchet era. Rick Tocchet, I don't think, really liked his game as much. It took Lyubushkin a while to be just a regular in the lineup and not have that threat of a healthy scratch looming behind him, which is why when I heard it was a healthy scratch for the Kings, I was like, this is interesting. He hasn't really been a healthy scratch this season, so maybe something is looming, and lo and behold, he does get traded. Big guy. For a second or a third rounder for Lyubushkin, let's just say a third rounder. I don't think the Coyotes are going to wait till 2025 to use a second rounder unless they really don't like what's available when they're up to the podium with that third round draft pick. I think it's fair. I don't think Lyubushkin is worth a second. Coyotes fans love him. His nickname's Boosh. We just call him that. But he doesn't really turn the needle or push the needle as much. It was interesting to see him being paired with Chychrun and being so high in a defensive category. But I think it's a fair trade for both teams. I'm not expecting much out of Ritchie. I would have put Lyubushkin on the trade bait board, and I would have said a third or a fourth Lyubushkin would be fair. He's not really a big ticket item, I feel, and it's just a good trade. Sad to see him go because he is one of the rare shutdown D-men and rare big body D-men the Coyotes have, because there's too many of these type of lean defensemen like Capobianco, Dyson Mayo, JJ Moser. The only shutdown D-men now and Ghost of Spare, are just Chychrun, who shouldn't be a shutdown D-man, and Anton Strawman, who's filling that role nicely. We'll see what happens with Ritchie. I don't expect him to be flipped at the deadline. He's got one more year on his contract. Lyubushkin and Dzingel are expired at the end of this season. We'll see what the Leafs do with them. I think it's just an experiment for the Leafs for this season. I don't think it pushes the Leafs over the edge. I think if the Leafs do have defensive problems, it will help, but it's not going to solve the problem. It'll just be a Band-Aid type situation. I know the Leafs don't have much cap room to acquire a better shutdown D-man. This is like the cheap option and, low risk, high reward type situation. But, excited to see Nick Ritchie, see a new player, give new blood to the Coyotes, what have you. Just a nice new shiny toy for the Coyotes. But, it's a trade. Not a big trade, but now I gotta, release a trade deadline video with the Coyotes trade bait board because I was gonna put Lyubushkin up on there. But, what you're getting in Lyubushkin's a big body, shutdown D-man. He's not amazing at it. He's good. He's not gonna solve the defensive problems out of the Leafs. He might even might be a healthy scratch on the Leafs. Their defensemen are more talented and better than the Coyotes. So we didn't really have anyone to replace Lyubushkin. So maybe on the Leafs they have a player who would compete with Lyubushkin on that third pairing. But as for the Coyotes, they had no one like him. And that's why he was just in the lineup consistently, because why would you take him out and put in another offensively minded defenseman? We need more defensively minded defensemen. That's why Lyubushkin was doing so well in the Coyotes and why he was always in the lineup. He was one of the only defensemen who fit that type of mold of defenseman. But, rambling on a bit here. Interesting trade late in the night that it happened. Bill Armstrong, obviously, his goal is to just acquire more picks, acquire more flexibility. If he likes what he sees, he could execute on the draft pick next season or wait, and that draft pick becomes more valuable as the years go on to 2025. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Hopefully a more exciting trade happens soon. But, sad to see Boosh go. Fan favorite, but, nothing really too special about Lyubushkin. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.